My young apprentice, standing at the dawn of a new financial era, look around you and understand that the titans who shaped the last half-century, Buffett, Dalio, Soros, Munger, Icahn, are elder oaks whose roots run deep, yet whose era gradually yields to the winds of time. A new generation rises now, not from the factories of Wall Street alone, but from technology, social platforms, global macro chaos, decentralized markets, and new forms of influence that rewrite the definition of what a financial celebrity truly is. These emerging figures are not merely investors, they are storytellers, architects of ecosystems, interpreters of chaos, and builders of financial empires that blend capital with culture, data with intuition, community with conviction. And if you wish to understand the future of wealth, you must learn to identify these rising stars not by fame, but by force, the force of insight, adaptability, and ambition that marks all who are destined to reshape the financial landscape. Let us begin with a group whose power grows not through inherited institutions, but through mastery of information itself, the technologists turned investors. Among them stands Chamath Palihapitiya, a man whose boldness has earned both admiration and controversy. He is not merely an investor. He is a philosopher of disruption, drawn to sectors where innovation tears apart the old guard. Though his SPAC ventures tasted volatility, he remains a figure to watch because he represents a new archetype, an investor who merges Silicon Valley aggression with Wall Street structure. His greatest strength is the courage to provoke, to question, to challenge the status quo. He reminds us that the next financial celebrities may not emerge from hedge funds, but from the crucibles where technology and capital collide. Close beside this archetype stands Cathie Wood, whose influence surged and crashed and surged again with the violent tides of innovation cycles. She belongs fully to the next generation because she embodies the shift away from traditional valuation frameworks into thematic forecasting, anticipating exponential technologies long before the market accepts them. She invests not in the world as it is, but in the world as it must become. Though mocked during downturns, Wood reflects the future of investment psychology. Faith grounded not in blind hope, but in data-driven conviction about the inevitability of technological disruption. Her style reveals a crucial truth. Volatility is the toll one pays for front-row seats to the future. Next, observe the rise of global macro interpreters beyond the old guard, thinkers like Lynn Alden, whose analytical clarity cuts through economic noise like a blade of tempered steel. Alden's mastery lies not in theatrics but in synthesis, connecting fiscal policy, energy markets, demographic trends, and technological shifts into coherent narratives. She represents a generation of financial minds born outside the institutional elite, yet rising through sheer intellectual sharpness. Her kind is dangerous in the most admirable sense, unbound by old hierarchies, and unafraid to see the world as a lattice of interacting systems. Such individuals are not just financial celebrities in the making, they are the architects of how the masses will understand macroeconomics in the years ahead. Then look to the decentralization pioneers, investors who wield influence not through funds but through networks. Among them is Balaji Srinivasan, a technologist whose visions of digital states, blockchain rails, and decentralized governance feel radical to the old guard, but prophetic to those who can sense the future's scent before it arrives. Balaji's mind operates on long arcs of history, seeing technological evolution as political evolution. His influence grows because he interprets crypto not as speculation but as infrastructure, a worldview that will shape the next wave of financial discourse. The future titans are not merely investors, they are builders of parallel systems. Now let us examine the retail-powered celebrity investors, a phenomenon unthinkable in previous generations. Figures like Keith Gill, Roaring Kitty, demonstrated that influence once reserved for billionaires can now emerge from individuals who capture the collective imagination of the digital crowd. Though not a traditional titan, Gill represents a force the future cannot ignore: the democratization of access, narrative, and financial rebellion. The next financial celebrities may rise from basements, bedrooms, live streams, and digital communities, not from marble offices. In this age, attention itself becomes a form of capital, and those who understand how to wield it can shift markets with a whisper. Another group rising swiftly is the quantitative and algorithmic innovators, led by minds like Sam Bankman-Fried, once was expected to be before his downfall reshaped the cautionary tales of our time. But beyond collapsed stars, a new cohort of young quants, machine learning traders, and decentralized protocol founders emerges. Their names are not yet etched into mainstream consciousness, but their algorithms already influence liquidity, volatility, and market microstructure. This new breed thrives not on charisma, but on computation. They represent a future where financial celebrity is measured not in interviews, but in impact, the invisible hand becoming literal through code. Now observe the new breed of global entrepreneurs whose empires transcend industry lines and whose financial influence rivals that of institutional titans. Figures like Jensen Huang, guiding NVIDIA from a chip company into the beating heart of the AI revolution, possess the same gravitational pull Musk once did in his earlier years. Their financial impact does not come from hedge funds or stock picks, but from creating technologies that rewire the entire economic landscape. The next generation of financial celebrities may well be founders whose innovations shape GDP, not fund managers predicting it. Then turn your attention toward the rising generation of geopolitical investors, such as Marco Papik or Parag Khanna. Thinkers who navigate the intersection of capital, power, and shifting world order. As nations fracture into new alliances and technological blocs, the investors who understand geopolitics will rise into prominence. The age of isolated financial analysis is ending. The age of integrated global strategy is beginning. But, my young apprentice, the clearest signs of future financial celebrities lie not only in who they are, but in what they represent. Patterns appear, subtle yet unmistakable. First, the next generation is interdisciplinary. They blend economics with technology, psychology with data science, geopolitics with engineering. The future belongs to hybrids. Second, they are decentralized. Influence no longer flows only from corporate towers. It flows from social platforms, digital communities, global networks of minds aligned by insight rather than geography. Third, they are narrative builders. Markets now move not only on fundamentals, but on the stories people believe. The new titans shape these stories with mastery and intentionality. Fourth, they operate across time horizons, from the trader's minute to the futurist's decade. This fluidity of time is a hallmark of modern mastery. Fifth, they embrace volatility as opportunity rather than catastrophe. They do not seek comfort. They seek asymmetry. And now, as the scroll of this first chapter nears its ending, let us continue deeper into the inner architecture of these rising giants, how they think, how they allocate capital, how they convert chaos into clarity, and how they transform emerging trends into engines of wealth creation that reshape industries, redirect capital, and redefine what it means to be a financial titan in an age where information moves faster than empires rise. And now, my young apprentice, let us continue into this second scroll, where the inner machinery of the next generation reveals itself with greater clarity and force. For while the financial celebrities of the past built their legacies through decades of compounded wisdom, the rising generation builds theirs through the mastery of acceleration, accelerated learning, accelerated networks, accelerated capital flows. They do not wait for the world to change. They position themselves at the point of change and ride its momentum with a precision the old guard rarely possessed. And so, to understand how these emerging figures will shape the future, you must look beyond the surface of their personalities and into the principles that quietly guide their ascent. The first principle of the new financial generation is adaptive intelligence. Unlike the titans of old, who often specialized narrowly, this new breed thrives by adapting rapidly to new technological and macro realities. Cathie Wood absorbs breakthroughs in genomics, robotics, AI, and energy storage as easily as previous investors absorbed balance sheets. Balaji Srinivasan navigates from crypto to biotech to governance theory with fluidity. Lynn Alden can explain monetary debasement in one breath and semiconductor supply chains in the next. Their edge is not in knowing one domain deeply, but in weaving many domains into a unified worldview. This multidimensional thinking gives them a vantage point unavailable to those who cling to outdated silos. The second principle is network leverage. The financial celebrities rising today understand that networks, not institutions, are the true engines of influence. They cultivate communities of millions across digital platforms, forming echo chambers of insight, conviction, and momentum. Unlike the secrecy-driven masters of hedge funds past, the new titans share ideas openly, using transparency to attract followers, capital, and collaborators. Chamath uses discourse to rally believers. Kathy releases research publicly. Balaji spreads frameworks rapidly across continents. This transparency is not charity. It is strategic gravity, pulling resources toward their visions. The third principle is conviction paired with flexibility, a rare combination. These rising figures hold bold, sweeping theses about the future, yet they are not imprisoned by them. They pivot when data shifts. They refine narratives as conditions evolve. They understand that the world changes too quickly for dogma, but too slowly for chaos. Their strength lies in treating convictions like living organisms, growing, mutating, evolving, while maintaining the core belief that the future bends toward innovation, decentralization, and technological acceleration. The fourth principle is time arbitrage mastery. The next generation invests on time horizons the crowd cannot emotionally handle. They see 10 years, while retail sees 10 minutes. They see adoption curves, while the masses see price charts. They see S-curves, tipping points, and exponential cost declines long before accountants recognize their significance. This allows them to position capital where inevitability sleeps quietly, waiting to awaken. They buy when trends are invisible, endure ridicule when trends are dismissed, and harvest when trends become undeniable. The fifth principle is psychological endurance. The markets of the future will not be calmer. They will be more chaotic, more reactive, more algorithmically amplified. Only those who cultivate inner stability will survive. Cathie Wood endured mockery. Chamath survived cycles of hype and backlash. Crypto pioneers endured years of disdain. Their minds do not break under volatility. They metabolize volatility into conviction. They do not fear being early. They fear being blind. Now, my apprentice, let us turn our gaze to how these emerging titans allocate capital, for their methods reveal the architecture of tomorrow's financial empire. They invest in AI not as a sector, but as an infrastructure, a force that rewires every industry, from healthcare to energy to logistics. They invest in decentralized networks, recognizing that ownership models of the future will be distributed, programmable, and global. They invest in frontier technologies, quantum computing, synthetic biology, robotics, automation, neurointerfaces, knowing the edge of possibility is where the next trillion-dollar companies are born. They invest in geopolitical realignments, understanding that capital flows follow demographic power shifts, supply chain rewiring, and technological sovereignty battles among nations. They invest in the creators of culture, for attention has become a form of capital, capable of shaping markets faster than earnings reports. But the most profound insight, the one the masses ignore, is this. The next generation of financial celebrities will not be defined by asset class, but by worldview. Their portfolios mirror philosophies, beliefs about how humanity will live, work, govern, travel, communicate, and innovate. They are not predicting markets. They are predicting civilization. And now, young one, let us speak of how these figures will influence the world. For influence, more than capital, is the currency of the future. They will shape regulatory conversations. They will shift public perception of money. They will redefine personal finance for millions. They will introduce frameworks that become shared mental models of society. They will turn data into gospel, narratives into movements, and communities into distributed financial forces. But their rise does not come without shadow. A great financial celebrity of the future must resist becoming intoxicated by influence, for the same networks that elevate them can destroy them. They must guard against arrogance, against the evaporation of skepticism. against the temptation to believe that conviction guarantees correctness. The future will not be kind to those who mistake attention for insight. And now, as we reach the end of this scroll, the final lesson arrives like a lantern lit in the dark. The next generation of financial celebrities is not defined by age, wealth, or position, but by adaptability, clarity of vision, and courage to stand where others do not yet dare to look. And so, my young apprentice, I ask you, which emerging titan resonates with your own nature? Whose worldview aligns with the direction in which you wish to grow? Share it in the comments so this circle of wisdom may expand. And if this journey has opened your eyes to the future taking shape before you, subscribe to this channel where each lesson sharpens your ability to see tomorrow before the world arrives at it.